in this video, we're going to determine the three tensions, the cables. So we have tension 1, tension 2, and tension 3. So the question says find T1, T2, and T3. So without even wasting much time, it is so much important to know the basic concepts that are going to help us to figure out these tensions. So we know that summation of forces in the X must be equal to 0, and also the summation of forces in y must also be equal to 0. So we know that summation of forces in x must be equal to 0. So we can, let us resolve the tensions in terms of their components, x and y components. So we have, so this one, it is going to be like this. So this one, using SOHCAHTOA, we are going to have T1 sine 37, and then this one in the x direction, we're going to have T1 cos 37 degrees. Similarly, even here, we're going to have this one T2 sine 53 degrees, and then this one will be T2 cos 53 degrees. So summation of forces must be equal to 0. So we have this one. So T2 cos 53 degrees minus, so this one is in the negative direction. So we have T1 cos 37 degrees. This must be equal to 0. So this one, we're going to have T1 cos 37 degrees must be equal to T2 cos 53 degrees. So this one, we can make n of this n of the 2 the subject of the formula. So we just make T1 the subject. So we divide by cos 37 degrees also here. 37 degrees, so that this and this will go. Then T1 must be equal to T2 cos 53 degrees over cos 37 degrees. So let us call this as equation 1. Then we know that the summation of forces in y must also be equal to 0. So summation of forces in y must be equal to 0. So we have also all the angles, or rather all the tensions are in positives. The angles are positives, first quadrant, second quadrant. So the angles are positive, and therefore the T sine 53 and the T sine 37 will also be positives. So we have T1 sine 37 degrees plus T2 sine 53 degrees. So minus, so this one is pointing down, we have T3, which must be equal to 0. But we know that T3 is equal to 400 newtons, and T1 is equal to T2 cos 53 degrees over cos 37 degrees. So we can plug in this one and this one in this equation, and what we're going to have is, so we have T1, we put this, so where there's T1, we put T2 cos 53 degrees over cos 37 degrees, then sine 37 degrees, okay, plus T2 sine 53 degrees minus 400. So this must be equal to 0. So from this point, we are going to have So this one we're going to have, so sine 37 over cos 37, we're going to have T2 cos 53 degrees. Then this one will be tan 37 degrees plus T2 sine 53 degrees is equal to this one. When it crosses the equal sign, we're going to have 400 newtons. So this one, so what we're going to have is now punching cos 53 tan 37 on a calculator. We are going to have 0.45 T2 plus, then sine 53, we're going to have 0.798 something, but when you round it off, it will be 799 T2, which will give us 400 newtons. So when we add these, 0.45 plus 0.799, 1.249 T2, which will be equal to 400 newtons. So dividing through by 1.249, so our T2 will be 241 after rounding off. So this one will be 241. But we know that T1 is equal to T2 cos 53 over cos 37 degrees. So if we put that one, 241, then cos 53 degrees over cos 37 degrees, what we're going to have is 320 newtons. But for T3, this one is a direct one. It is simply 400 newtons. 400 newtons. So the values that we have are T1 is equal to 320 newtons. Then T2 is equal to 241, and T3 is equal to 400 newtons. So these are the values of the tensions that must be in the cables. Thank you so much for watching the video.